Well, despite your performance or Nigeria's performance on the soccer field yesterday, the market's managing to stay pretty positive. It seems. Run us through the kind of activity you're seeing and the sentiment that's driving some of that activity.
Well, thank you, Alishia. Just to kick off this morning, we're still hopeful that the Nigerian Super Eagles should still win their final games and hopefully get through to the second round. So we're still keeping the faith. But generally, what we've seen is we've seen an uptick in the market. The market is up by 0.5%. It was up by 0.5% yesterday. On a year-to-date basis, the market is still up by over 24%. But generally, what we've seen is a lot of reduced activities from foreign investors, and perhaps is also attributed to the World Cup effect. We've also seen local players being a lot more price sensitive on their bids. But generally, what this has done is created a lot of good value for buy opportunities for medium to long-term players in the market. And we're hopeful that as the prices look more attractive, investors should be able to take advantage of these opportunities.
Well, Shuaib, certainly here in South Africa, we're sitting in the same boat as you, keeping the faith. And if there's any lesson to be learned from one of the companies listed on the NSE, it's that a bit of re-strategy can go a long way. We're looking at Cadbury yesterday rising 5%, and a lot of it due to the fact that we've seen restructuring within that team as a whole, and confidence seeming to back that re-strategy up quite strongly.
Absolutely. We saw Cadbury in 2006 have issues with their financials. There was a lot of misrepresentation of their financials. But what we've seen more recently is the management has been restructured. They've brought in a lot of respected people to lead their team. Their chairman, Mr. Pittside, is a very well-respected professional in the industry. They also did a rights issue in 2009 where they raised around 18 billion to pay down most of their debt. So we've seen a lot of their debt overhang reduce generally. Their valuations are looking more attractive. Obviously, they're one of the leading players in their sectors as well. And most of their products are very well patronized by Nigerians generally. So we're hopeful that the growth should continue for Cadbury.
How does it stack up against Nestle, though? Because Nestle is still the market leader within that space, right?
Absolutely. Nestle is definitely the leader in its sector. Nestle has been in Nigeria for a very long time. Most of their products are also very well patronized by the public generally. But what we've seen with Cadbury is they've covered up a lot of the gap. Previously, they obviously, because of the issues that they had with their financial misrepresentation, obviously they took a hit. And we've seen them, make up for all those lost positions. But yes, you're right, Nestle is still the leader in the sector.
Well, let's move on to the petroleum marketing space now, where we've certainly seen Shell making quite a few headlines. The business day in Nigeria running again with the headline that Shell Nigeria's investments are on hold pending the outcome of the Petroleum Industry Bill and the reforms that it's set to induce. How are you viewing that space at the moment? Because for now, the Petroleum Industry Bill seems to be creating quite a bit of uncertainty.
Yes, you're right. Shell has just withheld a $40 billion investment in the upstream sector. And obviously that is material and significant. What we've seen generally is that the PIB bill is causing a lot of nervousness amongst the multinationals within the sector. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more resources that is devoted to the local players. But even the structure, I think the structure hasn't really been finalized and agreed between all the relevant parties. So until that issue really is cleared up, we're going to see a lot of, restriction in terms of investments for most of these players in the industry.
Well, are all of these players in pretty much the same boat? Because, you know, the fact that we've got Shell holding back on investments means that if Total, if Oando decides to propel forward, they could well get an added foot into the door there. So, you know, what does this holding back of investment in this space spell for some of the other players operating in this industry?
I mean, that's an interesting point that you raised, Alishia. However, what is going on really is that there's also the Chinese players that want to come into the sector as well, and they've offered the federal government quite attractive terms. So there's a little bit of competition coming in from the international scene. But I think, you know, the industry and those issues need to be cleared up so that, you know, there's a lot more clarity in the sector. Obviously, when there's, you know, large amounts of investments in the sector, then it creates employment, it creates, you know, job opportunities and economic activities. So we're hopeful that that can be resolved soon and the bill can be signed into law so that, you know, the country can move forward.